What follows is a brief construction montage. Flashback. End of flashback.
All that carbon dioxide mixes with water to make acid rain.
Much later.
The rocks absorb the acid rain, including its carbon dioxide. And there are a lot of rocks on the Earth right now, exposed when the continent tore apart. So many that vast quantities of carbon dioxide are absorbed out of the atmosphere and locked up in the Earth's rocks. There's not enough carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to trap the sun's heat around the planet. In just a few thousand years, the temperature plummets to around minus 50 degrees. This frozen wasteland is southern Australia, 650 million years ago. It's the start of what some scientists call Snowball Earth, a period they believe to be the longest, coldest ice age ever to grip the planet. A vast wall of ice, thousands of meters high. The ice is unstoppable. The more ice there is, the more sunlight it reflects away from the planet, and the faster the ice spreads. And there's a second ice sheet, just as high. The two sheets spread away from the poles towards each other to meet at the equator. Now, an ice sheet up to 3 kilometers thick entombs the entire planet.
2 very boring minutes later.
First, the planet was a molten ball of fire. Now, it's a frozen ball of ice. Virtually all the sun's light and warmth reflects back into space. But it can't last forever. Something must release the Earth from this frozen prison. And when it does, who knows whether life will have survived beneath the ice? The surface is frozen, but the core is still hotter than the sun's surface. Volcanoes have been erupting since the world began to freeze. But up until now, even their heat and power made no impact on the ice. Volcanoes pump out billions of tons of carbon dioxide. Before the big freeze, the Earth's rocks absorbed most of the CO2. But now, with the rocks smothered in ice, there's nothing to absorb the gas, so it fills the atmosphere. Like a blanket, it traps the sun's warmth around the planet. Temperatures rise until now, after 15 million years, the ice begins to melt. It's thought that during Snowball Earth, the ice pushed the crust down. Now, as it melts, the crust bounces up. This creates fissures and weak spots, and more volcanoes. These volcanoes release more carbon dioxide and push the temperature up even higher. The melt gathers momentum. Oxygen levels rocket. Through a series of chemical reactions, the ice has created oxygen. While the planet was frozen, the sun's ultraviolet rays reacted with water molecules in the ice to produce a chemical rich in oxygen. Hydrogen peroxide, the same chemical that bleaches hair. Now, as the ice melts, the hydrogen peroxide breaks down and releases massive amounts of oxygen. The Earth is waking up, and it's a very different place. Now, 600 million years ago, the atmosphere is warmer. It feels like a summer's day. And the days are about 22 hours long. Add all this water, and it's the perfect recipe for life. Before Snowball Earth, primitive bacteria had emerged in the oceans. But surely they couldn't have survived an ice age 75 times longer than the entire span of human history. If something has survived, then our best chance of finding it is where we last saw life, in the ocean.
Many unbearable hours later.
Now, 540 million years ago, in an ocean full of oxygen, those primitive bacteria have evolved. A handful must have clung on through the big freeze. There are plants everywhere. And something else. It looks like some kind of armored slug. It's called Wiwaxia. It's one of a new generation of complex multi-celled organisms. We're entering one of the most dynamic periods in the Earth's story, the Cambrian explosion. Increased oxygen levels allow creatures to grow larger and develop bony skeletons. There are worms, sponges, and these. They're trilobites, distant relatives of insects, lobsters, even scorpions. Life in the oceans is blossoming. From microscopic bacteria to a monster like this. This is Anomalocaris. It's about 60 centimeters long. Look at its large eyes, its razor-sharp teeth and grasping limbs. All Anomalocaris has to do is take its pick. The trilobite can't right itself. Its soft belly is exposed. These are Picaia. They're just 5 or so centimeters long, but they've got what may be the first ever spine. Over millions of years, this simple structure will evolve into the spine that keeps us standing erect. And creatures are beginning to take on familiar forms. Beneath the waves, there are already tens of thousands of plant and animal species. The advance of life seems unstoppable. We're looking for life on land. 460 million years ago, and the plates have moved again. Below lies a new continent, Gondwana.